And this morning, let's get you the latest figures that's been released by the government on the coronavirus outbreak in India. The total cases now has crossed the 60,000 mark. It's at 62,939. The death toll, unfortunately, has also raised over the weekend to 2,109. We're also breaking down the state-wise data for you. Maharashtra has the most number of cases. Over 20,228 cases in Maharashtra, 779 is the death toll. In Gujarat, the number of cases has reached 7,798 with 472 deaths being reported so far. Over to the national capital, where the number of cases has increased to 6,542 with 73 deaths being reported so far. Those are the latest figures as of 6:30 this morning. Let's also get you a roundup of the top 5 developments that we're tracking on the coronavirus outbreak. 9 policemen at Delhi Sultanpuri police station have tested positive. They've been admitted to AIIMS Jhajjar in Haryana and are currently undergoing treatment. All their contacts are being traced. The Sultanpuri police station, meanwhile, has been sanitized. Fifteen, including a BSF personnel, have tested positive for coronavirus in Tripura on Sunday, taking the total number of cases in the state to over 150. Now, till date, 121 Border Security Force personnel in Tripura have tested positive for coronavirus. Contact tracing and sample collection has begun. India's elite counter-terrorism force, the National Security Guard, has reported its first confirmed coronavirus case. This is a 33-year-old personnel who's tested positive in Haryana's Manesar. Now, this is, in fact, he's currently undergoing treatment, and the total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in India's paramilitary forces is now 750. The Uttar Pradesh government has removed the chief medical officer of Agra after the spurt in coronavirus cases in the city. A total of 750 cases have been reported so far in Agra, and the only, in fact, city which is a major hotbed in Uttar Pradesh. Union Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju has said that the training of athletes will resume soon in a phased manner. The minister will interact with athletes today as well as tomorrow to take stock of the situation. All sporting events currently are at a halt due to the lockdown imposed to tackle coronavirus. So after 50 days of suspension of all passenger services, you've got the Indian Railways now planning to gradually restart operations, particularly passenger train operations from Tuesday. The services will resume initially with 15 trains kicking off. These trains will run as special trains from the New Delhi station, connecting 15 important cities. This includes Patna, Ranchi, Bhubaneswar, Bengaluru, Chennai, Thiruvananthapuram, Mumbai Central and Ahmedabad. Only AC coaches will be used. Bookings for these trains will only happen via the IRCTC website or the mobile app, and it will open at 4 p.m. today. It will be mandatory for passengers to wear face cover and undergo screening at departure. Only asymptomatic passengers will be allowed to travel. In also what appears to be a hint at starting also domestic flight services after passenger trains, you have Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri tweeting, and in fact he tweeted a photo of people in a plane cabin with masks as well as face shields. The picture belongs to airplanes in which the government has been, in fact, bringing back Indians who are stranded abroad due to the coronavirus pandemic. The Civil Aviation Minister in his tweet said that the times are changing and scenes of people with masks at airports is now a new normal. Puri also echoed a line from famous singer Bob Dylan's song, "The times they are a-changing."
When will you resume domestic commercial operations? When will I be able to travel to Mumbai to meet my mother or go to my hometown in Goa? When do you expect commercial private airlines to start operations within India?
Rajdeep, I want to be as optimistic I can be. My answer to you, the one I want to give, is sooner rather than later. but I will qualify that by saying we will do it at the earliest, depending on the behavior of the virus, because we must be ready then also to open up rail traffic, to open up other forms of domestic traffic. And it also depends on, surely we cannot conduct air operations between two red zones. So we'll see how it operates, but I'm hoping within the next week or 10 days, we will get clarity on that. And then, as I keep saying, in terms of public statement, those decisions remain to be taken.
No, but could you do a green zone to green zone? You can't do it between two red zones. Could you do a green zone to green zone? If trains have started moving, taking migrant workers back to their home, why can't flights do it?
Well, there is one possibility which I heard somebody on one of your shows suggesting that. We are willing to consider any possibilities. But as it says, it has to be, even when you carry out that facility, it will have to be a paid service. Because the gentleman who was offering you that suggestion on your show will not want to run a pro bono service. So we will look at all this in the coming days, depending on our experience with what we have ongoing.
We're getting you now the latest updates also from the state of Maharashtra, which has reported a single-day rise of over 1,000 coronavirus cases, and this is for the 5th straight day. The state's total number of cases is now inching towards the 22,000 mark. Mumbai, the worst hit city in the country, has reported over 13,500 cases. 81 new cases were reported from the city's Arthur Road jail, and they've all in fact tested positive. Many prisoners as well as jail officials. This takes the total cases of infected inmates to 158, in addition to the 26 officials who've tested positive. Doctors from JJ Hospital will now visit the jail daily to check the inmates. A quarantine facility within the jail campus has been built. The first case was also reported from the Baikula Women's Jail, where a 54-year-old inmate tested positive. The Maharashtra police have also been badly hit. Over 780 cops so far have tested positive in Maharashtra. Now, despite multiple reports in the last 1 week pointing out poor management by Mumbai hospitals in treating COVID-19 patients, nothing seems to have changed. Two fresh videos have come to light. This is from Mumbai's Sion Hospital and the KEM Hospital, showing the pathetic condition in which patients are being kept currently.
Packed wards. Multiple patients sharing a single bed. Bodies lying in wards packed with patients. Wards used as morgue to store bodies. Mumbai's Sion Hospital's emergency wards are bursting at their seam with these horrifying images. Meant for suspected COVID patients, the BMC-run hospital is overwhelmed. Equally shocking video has come to light from another BMC-run KEM hospital in Mumbai's Parel area. Wards of the KEM hospital is packed with patients and their relatives. Patients and their kin lying on the floor as no bed is available. Many are without masks, ignoring any semblance of social distancing. After these videos surfaced, a resident doctor at Sion posted an angry letter on Facebook. The doctor said that instead of defaming the hospital and the BMC, critics and the government should have provided necessary help. The Shiv Sena-run BMC has ordered an investigation after shocking visuals emerged at the hospitals. But these hospitals are still not fully equipped to battle the COVID crisis, symbolizing Mumbai's massive challenge to flatten the curve.
As soon as the video of Sion Hospital went viral, the BMC constituted a committee. The committee gave its report to the BMC administration within 24 hours. However, that report as yet has not been made public. On the other hand, Sion Hospital has been promising to be a little more humane about this entire issue. With cameraman Vaibhav Kangutkar in Mumbai, Vidya for India Today.
Also getting you the latest updates from the national capital, where there have been questions about the death toll because of coronavirus. BJP has claimed discrepancies in the Delhi government's COVID death toll, and the Delhi government has hence swung into action. The Chief Secretary has now sought the COVID death data from all hospitals across the capital.
After Mamata Banerjee government in Bengal, now the Delhi government led by CM Arvind Kejriwal finds itself in the eye of a storm over alleged discrepancies in COVID death figures. The discrepancies came to light after Delhi government data showed 68 people have died till May 8. But 3 central government-run hospitals, AIIMS, Ram Manohar Lohia and Lady Hardinge Medical College alone reported a total of 69 deaths till 8th May. Delhi government figure, however, shows only 28 deaths in these 3 hospitals. India Today in its investigation found that Delhi government health bulletin pegged the virus toll in AIIMS at 2 on May 8. However, medical superintendent of AIIMS told India Today that the hospital has reported 14 deaths. Similar mismatch were reported in RML Hospital and Lady Hardinge Hospital too. Delhi BJP chief Manoj Tiwari accused the CM of fudging data and demanded Delhi Chief Minister to issue clarification over discrepancy.
सरकार के आंकड़ों को अगर हम भ्रामक तौर पे देंगे तो इससे पूरी सरकार की सिस्टम पे जो उसकी विश्वसनीयता पे संदेह उत्पन्न होता है. इसलिए दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री जी प्लीज आप ऐसी राजनीति मत करिए.
Delhi government has set up an audit panel to certify COVID deaths as per Supreme Court ruling. And Health Minister Satyendra Jain refuted allegations and blamed hospitals instead.
ऐसा पॉसिबल है क्या? किसी भी देश के राज्य में कहीं पर भी पॉसिबल है कि मौत हो जाए उसको छुपा ले? पॉसिबल ही नहीं है. कोई डाटा कोई मेरे पर्सनल किसी के हाथ में नहीं होता है. दिस इज पब्लिक डोमेन. जो भी डेथ है वो डेथ आएगी. ओनली इशू इज डेथ समरी आ जाए कि वो बता दें कि भाई कोविड से डेथ हुई है, उसको कर लिया जाएगा.
Delhi is now the 3rd worst hit state in the country, with all 11 districts coming under red zone. With Munish Pandey in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Thousands of migrants have now set off on foot or cycles, covering hundreds of kilometers on highways in the scorching summer heat along with their families. India Today's Ashutosh Mishra walked with these migrants, and he gets us this report on the journey of the migrants from Bharatpur-Jaipur highway.
Thousands of migrant workers and laborers walking and pedaling home. Men, women and children braving the scorching heat. The never-ending ordeal is hard to fathom. This is Arjun Kumar, who bought a cycle spending 4,000 rupees from HSI dwindling savings in Rajasthan's Barmer for his 1,650 kilometer long journey back to home in Patna.
कितने दिन से चले हो?
6 दिन हो गया
चलते चलते ऐसे
जी.
क्यों साइकिल क्यों खरीदना पड़ा?
क्योंकि कंपनी में खाना होने के लिए कोई व्यवस्था नहीं था.
New cycle they had to purchase after their registration cancel, after no services availed from the government. Finally, they were forced to cycle and walk by their own, spend their savings, and now, worried about family, they are returning back. That's the apathy of the migrant laborers in the state of Rajasthan, who are heading towards their native places in UP and Bihar.
With the economy is in doldrums, many factories still shut. Migrants rendered workless and wageless, preferring the long walk home at all costs, often paying dearly.
8 आदमी को बोला 200 रुपए लेंगे। सब देखिए सब खुला हुआ है, सब छिल जाता है, ठेला वाला सब इसी जगह लगता है।
आपके पास तो बच्चे भी हैं, छोटे महिलाएं भी हैं, छोटे छोटे बच्चे भी हैं।
तो बच्चे को तो इसलिए बैठा रहे हैं हम लोग, बच्चे चले जाएंगे पहले बच्चे के
यहाँ 10 किलोमीटर तक बच्चा चला जाएगा, उसके बाद
और राशन देखेंगे, फिर पैदल जाएंगे।
राशन पानी कहाँ मिलता है, खाते पीते कैसे हैं? राशन
कोई रोड पर देते हैं, कोई कोला को कुछ देते हैं खाने, कोई खाते जा रहे हैं।
अब बच्चों के लिए, बहुत छोटे छोटे बच्चे, उनके लिए
वही दूध खिला रहे हैं।
They have covered hundreds of kilometers by foot and have hundreds more to cover. Living by the roadside and setting up makeshift kitchens as night falls.
This is how the makeshift kitchen looks like. This is how migrants survive. So this is a makeshift kitchen where they stayed for the night, cooked their food, whatever belongings that was left to them, and now it's a sunrise and further journey begins back to their native places.
They allege they weren't allowed to board buses in Rajasthan.
हमें बस अड्डे ले गए, फिर वहाँ पर मतलब बैठने के भी, पानी तो छोड़ दो, बैठने को भी नहीं दिया, और बोले भागो भागो, यहाँ यूपी वालों के लिए कोई जगह नहीं।
ये बच्चों के पैरों में दर्द होने लगता है जब इनको बिठा लेते हैं, और जब इनका चलने का जी करता है तो थोड़ी बहुत देर तक चला लेते हैं।
क्योंकि जो मेरे ऊपर वालों के भरोसे हैं, जो कुछ होगा वो, अगर मारने वाला वो है, बचाने वाला भी वो है।
With weary feet, fatigue and blisters on feet, they continue to walk.
Peak summer, mid-afternoon, and hundreds of the migrants continuously walking on the road, few by foot, few through this cycle. इनको बिठा के भी लेके चल रहे हैं
जी।
गर्मी इतनी दोपहर को आप चल रहे हैं, गर्मी नहीं लगती?
अब लगती है, लेकिन क्या करें, घर भी पहुंचना है। अभी तो 5 तारीख से आज 9 तारीख हो गया, अभी तक क्या करें।
With no money, very little food and water, the human misery suffered by these nowheres people is beyond words.
The apathy of these migrant laborers are that they were stuck after lockdown, factories were shut, no source of income, no source of survival. And finally, after no government help were provided, they decided to walk by foot for hundreds of kilometers back to their native places. With this ground report in Jaipur, with Sanjay Kumar, this is Ashutosh Mishra reporting for India Today.
We'll continue getting you detailed ground reports on the plight of India's migrants, but let's move on now to the situation in Tamil Nadu, where there has been a number of cases that have been reported in the last many days. But the focus right now is on the political tussle that's broken out over liquor shops in the state. The EPS government had moved to the Supreme Court, challenging an interim order by the Madras High Court to close liquor shops run by the state-run TASMAC. Now, Kamal Hassan's Makal Nidhi Mayam had filed a petition in the High Court seeking closure of liquor shops, and that's when the High Court had given the nod and closed all liquor shops in the state. Rajnikant, meanwhile, has also joined ranks with the opposition to slam the move to reopen liquor shops. Rajnikant has said that EPS will lose the coming elections. Remember, elections in Tamil Nadu are slated in 2021 if he chooses to open alcohol shops. Multiple protests have been witnessed across the state against the opening of TASMAC, which is the Tamil Nadu State Marketing Corporation shops. And a big development that's expected today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding a video conference with the chief ministers of states and union territories. The meeting will review the nation's progress in containing coronavirus while also gradually restarting economic activities in a phased manner. Home Minister Amit Shah and Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan will also attend this meeting. The first session of the meeting will take place from 3 to 5:30 p.m. The second session will begin at 6 p.m. after a 30-minute break. Sources indicated that the discussion will be held on the easing of the lockdown, which is expected to end on May 17th, and the areas where restrictions might be eased. All chief ministers will get a chance to share their views. Earlier, only 10 or 11 chief ministers got a chance to speak. This will be the 5th such virtual meeting between the Prime Minister and the state chief ministers since the lockdown. And in a major breakthrough, India's top medical research body, the ICMR, has indigenously developed the ELISA testing technology. This crucial development will now allow India to overcome the unreliable results of rapid testing kits. The government has decided that it will no longer use rapid testing on the Indian population and will only use ELISA kits for surveillance of COVID-19. This technology has now been transferred to Zydus Cadila. The company will be responsible for mass production of these testing kits in India. While ELISA tests for coronavirus are already in use in other countries, procuring them in large numbers is a challenge, particularly during a pandemic. Remember, this development is particularly important as rapid antibody tests imported from China were found to be unreliable. Top government sources have told India today that a heightened fighter aircraft activity has been spotted in Pakistan. This comes after the killing of Army Colonel Ashutosh Sharma in an encounter with Pakistani terrorists in the Handwara forest of Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistani Air Force aircraft have been flying patrols close to the Indian territory inside their area, including the F-16, JF-17 and Mirage-3 fighter planes. Indian side is also closely monitoring their activities. Intelligence sources say that Pakistan feared that India could strike back at terror camps in view of the increased terrorist activity in the valley. On Wednesday, Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan also tweeted that India may carry out a false flag operation. Troops of India and China were involved in a fierce face-off near the Nakula Pass in the Sikkim sector of the Sino-India border. A number of personnel on both sides sustained injuries as they exchanged punches. They said adding the troops disengaged after a dialogue at the local level.
A rerun of the Sino-Indian line of actual control brawl on the shores of Pangong Saw Lake during the Doklam crisis in August 2017. The super-sensitive India-China line of actual control in North Sikkim is once again on the boil. Soldiers of the Indian Army and Chinese PLA were involved in a fierce face-off in Nakula area of North Sikkim on Saturday. Like the past brawl, men from both sides sustained injuries. The troops disengaged after local-level interaction and dialogue between senior personnel.
Even the timing is little out of tune when both the nations are focused on the fight against corona. I think, and also in the background, we had the strategic guidance by the respective leaders to have calm or the peace and tranquility on the borders. To have an incident like this is definitely a point to ponder, analyze, and ensure that it doesn't happen.
The brawl comes day after India asserted its sovereignty over POK. With the Met Department starting weather forecast of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. India is also resisting China-Pak Economic Corridor from China's Xinjiang to Pakistan's Gwadar port, passing through POK.
Ever since India has served the notice to Pakistan for Gilgit-Baltistan, from where, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor passes, Chinese are very disturbed with that. So they try to divert attention, they try to create new crisis, in the region.
This is not the first time Indian and Chinese soldiers have exchanged blows along the border. While the August 2017 incident also saw Indian and Chinese soldiers throwing stones at each other, both countries found themselves on the brink of a military confrontation over the Doklam Plateau issue. crisis was finally averted after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping had an informal meeting at Wuhan. China has been building up troops across the border, a trend India has been trying to match up of late.
The incident in North Sikkim is not an isolated one. A trend has been noticed of similar face-offs across the line of actual control. Officials say this is due to the fact that snow has melted and troop movement has increased. But fortunately, every time such a situation arose, it was resolved amicably through a dialogue. With Gaurav Sawant and camera person Parminder Sharma in New Delhi, Abhishek Bhalla for India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.